Hey, I'm Ben Silverio,
And I'm Ansel Burch.
and it's time to party.
Pew, 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 pew. We are not doctors. We don't give medical advice. Please drink responsibly. Today's episode was recorded on November 26th, 2023.
You know what song I was doing? Could you
I
tell?
do. Well, it was one of two.
That's true. It's one of two. Party people, welcome back. Oh my God, if you're listening to us right now, Merry Christmas.
If you're listening on release day, thank you. That's a present in and of itself.
Yes, you're the ones giving us the present by listening to our voices when you could be listening to your family.
Mm-hmm. Although, if you're avoiding problematic family, good on you.
Yeah,
There's more of this.
Yes, it is Christmas Day 2023. If you're, listening to it when we release it.
And I release it on time. That's the other thing.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
I'm gonna do my best to set these ones so that they don't get jacked up.
Understandable. But yes, it is Christmas, but it is also the end of our month-long series called Time to Christmas Party.
Woo!
Yeah. This year, since 2023, has been kind of a shitbag wrapped in a douche canoe.
And set ablaze down the river.
Yes, exactly. We needed some extra joy, so we deviated from our regularly scheduled programming to bring you some of our favorite Christmas movies. Some of them had time travel. Most of them don't, but it's okay.
I would argue 50%. 50% had time travel.
That's very true. Just we just figured getting in the spirit would be nice, and talking about these movies would help out a lot. And I think they have.
Yeah, it's certainly been a good time for us in recording.
Absolutely. So if you missed out, we covered It's a Wonderful Life.
Mm-hmm.
And then we covered the new classic, Violent Night. And then, one of the best, top tier, The Muppet Christmas Carol.
Truly.
And finally, as we close out the series, as we close out the holiday season, as we close out the year, really, because I don't even think we're going to do an outtakes episode, right?
No, we got all 4 weeks covered.
Yeah, exactly. So this is our last episode of the year.
That's right.
Wow. Thanks for sticking with us through it all.
Or just joining us. That's cool too.
That is super cool. That's some would say even cooler for finally finding
you just found us on Christmas Day looking for someone talking about A Year Without a Santa Claus.
Yeah. And we're not going to let you down. The Year Without a Santa Claus is a 1974 Rankin and Bass TV movie. And it's just, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't get the same amount of love as like Frosty or Santa Claus is Coming to Town or Rudolph. But it's my favorite. I think it might be my favorite Christmas movie, period.
That is a big thing to say. I would love to hear more about that.
Absolutely. But before we get there, if you don't know what movie we're talking about, here's what our good friends at IMDb tell you. When a weary and discouraged Santa Claus considers skipping his Christmas Eve run one year, Mrs. Claus and his elves set out to change his mind. Yeah, I guess.
I guess it covers it.
Yeah, I mean,
Ish.
I feel like they get help in changing his mind.
It is more about the journey than it is the changing his mind of it. But hey, sure.
Yeah. But self-care is important, as we've all come to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And working while you're sick is not great. So, I guess I get where Santa's coming from.
Yeah.
And this Santa isn't exactly at the same level as David Harbour Santa from Violent Night,
No.
right? Like,
No.
this Santa has been driven to the bars in between his deliveries. Throwing up over the side of the sleigh. What a great visual.
Yeah.
I mean, gross, but
it's okay. He's not driving.
Yeah, he's just guiding a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mickey Rooney as Santa Claus just like screams Christmas, right?
There is something about Mickey Rooney as Santa Claus that, like, yeah, there's a special place in at least my heart, and I think the collective consciousness.
Yeah, you mentioned how David Harbour looks the part really well with the rosy cheeks and the face shape. But Mickey Rooney's voice, it embodies Santa Claus, I think, for a lot of people.
Sure.
Yeah, undeniable there. And, it's funny, when I told my current roommate that this was one of my, like, probably my favorite Christmas movie, he was like, this is such a sad one. Because, I mean, Blue Christmas is one of the main songs in this movie. But, I might even trace that back because as a kid, I was obsessed with Elvis. And his cover of Blue Christmas, was, I don't know why I like that song either, because that's also really sad. But I want to reach over here and grab one of my Christmas decorations real quick. I know that people listening aren't going to see it because we'll
just
podcast.
Have to describe it. That's all. Oh, okay. So is this a Funko?
It is made by Funko, but it's not a pop. I believe they were called vinyl. Yes.
But it is and there you've got the set. Okay, so it's a pair of vinyl figures of the Heat Miser and the Snow Miser.
Yeah, currently the Funko Pop versions are on my in search of list, but I've never seen them in person. So
interesting.
But these are still good. I feel like these look more like the characters in the movie than the Funko Pops do.
Yeah, so are the Pops in the like traditional Pop style where they've got the round eyes and the... Yeah, these are that's much preferable then. These are like faithful representations of the characters as they were.
Right. Which Miser brother do you prefer?
Oh man. I mean, me personally, I like the cold weather better, so I'm definitely more on the on that side of things, but I don't know. I don't know that I prefer one over the other in the movie because they are so much the pair.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the Snow Miser has more fun, maybe.
I think that's why my choice is my choice, but also it's very ironic.
Oh,
I do prefer the Snow Miser, which is ironic because I moved away from Chicago because I was sick of the winter weather.
Yeah.
I will talk any chance that I get about how terrible the winters were in the Midwest, but I do prefer the Snow Miser just because he seems like he's more fun,
Yeah,
Heat
he's
Miser
enjoying himself more. He's having more. Yeah. The Heat Miser seems angry. He got a lot of like rage associated with the characterization there, and yeah, that just doesn't seem as fun.
Yeah, the Snow Miser's less of a hothead, and
yeah,
he's just way more chill.
Damn it, Ben.
Yes. Oh my gosh. But yeah, why do you think The Year Without a Santa Claus is something that people keep coming back to?
I think it's accessible. Rankin and Bass skewed towards the audience that Christmas movies have traditionally been targeted at. This is a movie for kids, upkeeping the story of Santa Claus, adding to the fiction in an interesting way. I want to say that Rankin and Bass were the first ones that gave us like a story that fleshed out the life of Santa Claus on the outside of making his deliveries. It's based on a book, I think, so it's not an entirely original idea, but I think this is probably the first introduction that a lot of us had to the idea of Santa Claus as a person who had wants and needs and desires outside of his mythic role, watching over us all and judging us for our misdeeds.
You're absolutely correct. The story is based on the 1956 book of the same name by Phyllis McGinley.
There we go.
I've never read the book. I think I keep forgetting that it's a book. I should hunt it down. But yeah, you're totally right. Like, I think this is the first time that I remember Santa Claus being really like humanized, other than Santa Claus is Coming to Town, which told his origin story.
Mm-hmm.
But, even that makes him kind of larger than life, and how he's, evading the Meisterburgers and things like that. Whereas here, you see his flaws. You see that Santa can have weakness, and there's nothing wrong with that. Even though he's this mythological figure.
He's just sick and doesn't feel like it. Like,
exactly. And
vibe, bro.
Absolutely. Who among us has not felt that way? I'm really starting to pick up the theme of these movies that we picked.
Whoops.
Did you know that they remade Year Without a Santa Claus? As live action.
I learned that earlier today and was very distressed.
Oh, I remember watching it and being incredibly distressed.
Really?
Yeah, it's NBC did it in 2006 with John Goodman as Santa, with Michael McKean and Harvey Fierstein as the snow and heat miser, respectively. Like, oh my God, Jack LaLanne was in this for some reason.
Wait, what? I thought this was in 2006.
Yeah.
Am I wrong about that?
2006.
Jesus. Yeah, those are some not particularly relevant people.
Jack LaLanne died in 2011. I'm surprising that he lived that long. Mm-hmm. But, he was super healthy, right? So Famously healthy. Carol Kane played Mother Nature, which is amazing casting.
That's kind of perfect, yeah.
But no, this was a terrible remake. But I don't want to say equally terrible, but still not great. They did a sequel in 2008 called A Miser Brothers Christmas. I remember it was part of ABC Family's like 25 Days of Christmas. And somehow they managed to get Mickey Rooney to reprise his role as Santa and George S. Irving to reprise his role as the Heat Miser.
What?
Yeah.
So the rights to this must have lapsed if both NBC and ABC were able to work with it within 2 years of each other.
Well,
Or they
it was
just sold the rights over to
NBC
the other
and Warner
studio?
Brothers. So yeah, no.
Well, but ABC is Disney.
Yes. Right. Oh, that's where it aired, but Warner Brothers Animation made it.
Okay.
Yeah. But still, I think you're right. Because there has to be some rights thing here. Nope, here it is. Warner Brothers currently distributes the special through their ownership of the post 1974 Rankin and Bass Productions library.
Okay. So Warner Brothers must have just farmed out the broadcast rights to whoever.
Here it is. ABC and Freeform had it until 2017. And then after that, let's see, as of 2018, it airs on AMC, but Warner Brothers distributes
Which is a
it.
Universal, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Rights are weird.
Boy, what a world we live in.
I know.
International distribution rights belong to one of two major companies.
Pretty much.
Ne'er the twain shall meet.
God, it's like we should have some strike to fix all this stuff.
Almost as though.
Oh man. Yeah.
While we're on the topic of remakes, though, I do want to
Okay.
take a quick second to talk about a movie that they just did for Peacock called Genie, which is a remake of a movie that my wife got me into when we first got together, called Bernard and the Genie, which is a great BBC made-for-TV movie about a guy who gets a genie and learns the meaning of Christmas and saves his whole situation with wishes. It's fantastic. I haven't gotten to see the remake yet. My wife watched it today and said it was good, but not as good as the original. So if you get a chance, check out Bernard and the Genie, the original, as well as the new one. It is kitschy, but a good time.
You know why the new one, I think, is getting such high praise from Tab? You know who wrote it? Richard Curtis. You may know him from such movies as Four Weddings and a Funeral, Notting Hill, Bridget Jones's Diary, Love Actually, and About Time, which is an excellent movie.
How about that?
An excellent movie that we haven't covered?
I'm kind of surprised we haven't covered that yet.
Me too, because it was one of the first movies that I brought up and was like, hey, why don't we cover this? And we still haven't. We'll get there. We'll get around to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Richard Curtis is great.
And Richard Curtis wrote the original as well.
Oh, did he? Oh my God, he did.
With Lenny Henry and Alan Cumming and Rowan Atkinson as the villain.
Wait, Alan Cumming was in the original?
Yes, Alan Cumming is in the original. Yeah,
he's also in the new one.
Is he really?
Yeah.
There you go.
So is Mark Maron. Love that.
Interesting.
Luis Guzman. Definitely love seeing him. Wow, this is an incredibly diverse cast. Into it. I need to check this out.
Makes sense. And Melissa McCarthy is apparently a lot of fun as the genie. Okay. She's taking the role that Lenny Henry had in the original.
Oh, well, that's fun. I kind of wish something like this would have come to theaters. Because you know what I really miss? Just these 90-minute fun things in the theater, where where it's not
At the
some
same
major
time,
blockbuster.
there's something to be said. There's something to be said for the fun, like, holiday movie that goes straight to TV.
Sure. No, that's true. It's holiday movies especially. You know, I think maybe that's a byproduct of Hallmark putting out so many Christmas movies, right?
Sure.
But uh I recently saw Wish with my nieces and my cousin. And the youngest one was like, I can't believe it was so short. And I was like, yeah, when I was your age, movies used to be that only that long.
Especially the ones pitched towards our age group.
It's true. Now everything is like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. God. Thanks,
I don't
Christopher
personally
Nolan.
hate, but I know that that's a big windmill that you're willing to tilt at.
It's true, you know, because sometimes you just want to go to the movie theater and like get away from the world and have that theatrical experience. That's just as
and I want to
magic
do
as
that
Christmas.
for as long as possible for the least.
Yeah, but before I used to be able to go and see 2 movies for the length of one Christopher Nolan movie.
But now you have to pay twice as much for that one movie.
Did you, Ansel? Did you have to pay twice as much?
That's fair. That's fair. I'm sure the old trick of just not getting a second ticket still works.
We do not condone criminal activity.
But at the same time, you know, AMC's got enough money.
It's true.
They got Nicole Kidman money, so
absolutely. Just don't do it to any independent theaters.
Exactly.
Pay for every ticket in those theaters.
And, you know, pay for tickets to movies that need extra exposure.
Yeah. Just go to the movies, guys.
Yeah, man.
The cinematic experience is such a valuable one that is not getting the love it deserves these days. God, I want to go back and see a movie. I want to go to a movie now, even though it might be a little late for that.
Yeah. I did get to see the Marvels, and that was a great time.
Wasn't it? I love Iman.
Iman Vellani is so good.
Yes. Iman Vellani was my favorite part of the movie.
As well it should be. You're a right-thinking person.
Yes. And guess who gets to meet her this week?
I'm guessing it's not me, so...
So she wrote a Marvel comic about Miss Marvel becoming a mutant.
That's dope.
Yeah, and she's signing copies of the book at a store in North Hollywood. And she agreed to sign more than one item per person. So obviously, I'm going to get a Funko Pop signed.
Obviously.
And I have 3 questions for her that I wrote down so I wouldn't forget them by being nervous.
We got to get you a little roving recorder to bring with you.
I mean, my cell phone is that, right?
That's
like
true.
I used to have one of those, and it had a tape in it still, because that's how old I am, kids.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But yeah,
the audio on your cell phone is probably pretty solid.
Would it be bad to record her answers to those questions?
Not if she consents.
That's true. If I'm like, hey, can I record your answers to this? If she says no, then I'm perfectly fine hearing these answers for myself.
Without it, but yeah.
You know.
Anyway.
Yeah, I can tell you these questions later. Yeah, Rankin and Bass. Why don't you think anyone does these types of movies anymore?
Well, what do you mean by these types of movies?
I mean, you don't really get this type of animation.
Because it doesn't look very good. I mean, when it comes right down, like, we love Rankin and Bass because it's like nostalgic and sweet and Yeah, I mean those two things. It's got a lot of heart to it. It's got a lot of care, and it's the one that we grew up with, right? At the time, this was it wasn't the peak of stop motion, but it was certainly the middle of stop motion. And the stories they were telling and the style that they did it in sort of like elevated it beyond its meager look. And today we wouldn't tolerate that. We're doing stop motion. Even cheap stop motion is more advanced and smooth and fluid. And
Yeah, but you don't think Leica could put out a good Christmas movie than stop motion
I think
animation?
Leica absolutely could put out a good Christmas movie. I mean, haven't we had a stop motion Christmas movie recently?
I mean, didn't Pinocchio come out at Christmas last year from Del Toro?
I don't think that counts.
Yeah, that was so sad. Yeah, like, because I don't know. I just remember relatively recently, not super recently, but, Community did that episode that was in stop motion animation. Because Abed was having like a Christmas themed breakdown, kind of. But that was a great episode. I loved seeing that. And I think, that episode really embodied what you were saying about the nostalgia for that style. Because, that played into Abed's whole reason for being in the Christmas spirit, really. Because Christmas meant so much to him and he associated that style with Christmas. But yeah, I guess you're right. It doesn't look that great anymore.
Well, and I think it's the thing I'm most directly referencing is just the way that they did the mouths and expressions on these characters is just an older style that we don't do anymore. If you look at Pinocchio, if you look at Wendell and Wild, which came out in 2022 as well, those are much more expressive, much more sculpted facial changes from one to the next.
Sure.
I forget which movie I was seeing a making of where they talked about how each character had like 100 different full sculpts. They're not just like switching out the mouths like they used to. They do a whole different head for every single one of these iterations, and they're doing it with 3D printing now, so it's cheap to do, and you can just sort of like change the 3D model a little bit here and there and go, okay, well, this is the next iteration, this is the next iteration, and then 3D print the heads, and bing bang bomb, you've got all the pieces you need to make it happen.
See, this is how technology should be helping art, not trying to replace it. Like,
and I like to hope that that's where we'll get eventually, is that like you'll be able to feed in your original work and say, hey, I need you to iterate 1,000 different faces on this same thing in my style, because it's a waste of my time to go in and do that manually. And the computer will be able to do that, in an artificially intelligent way.
Sure. As opposed to replacing someone to write an entire story.
Right. It should be a tool that helps the artist as opposed to a tool that replaces the artist.
Yes. Amen.
I don't think there's a universe in which, and I'm not the first to say this, but I don't think there's a universe in which any of us wanted to spend more time toiling so that the computers could make art.
Amen.
It was supposed to go the other way around.
You want Skynet? This is how you get Skynet.
Make me a robot that makes hamburgers so that McDonald's employees can, enjoy doing something more productive and fun with their time, and let's pay them anyway. How's about that?
Right.
Let's get some UBI up in this.
Would be nice. Look at this. Look how hopeful we're being because we're in the holiday spirit.
That's right. So 4 episodes in, we're finally feeling like the world isn't a trash fire.
We're there now. We'll see how long it lasts. But you know what'll help us make it last longer? Some drinking and smoking rules.
Drinking rules? Yeah, there we go.
There it is. So, I mean, Just drink every time they say heat miser or snow miser.
Oh God, you'll die. You'll
I
die.
know. But you'll certainly be feeling jolly, and your cheeks will be nice and rosy after that.
That's a sip rule.
There you go.
That's one of those like Thunderstruck games where it's like, okay, just you'll work your way through 2 whole beers over the course of a 1.5-minute song.
Right? The whole movie is only 51 minutes, so
yep.
You're just constantly drinking in the middle of the movie.
I was going to say take a nice big gulp for every song. Because there's like 7 or 8 songs in here, which is a bit much for a shot rule, but certainly you could put back, an eighth of a beer for every song. That'd be fine.
There is technically 10 songs.
Good God.
Yeah. Yeah, 10 songs.
So yeah, just take a drink for every song. That's just a regular drink. If you drink the way I drink.
Take a shot for Santa. He deserves it. He works so hard.
And Mickey Rooney by extension.
Yeah, absolutely. Except for that one time that he did that thing that we don't want to talk about.
I'm sure there's more than the one time, but yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. Like, I know it was a different time back then, but come on, bro.
Bro.
Like, for real.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that there's a lot of other repeating stuff in here. I maybe just like every time Mrs. Claus is the goat for this movie.
Absolutely. Mrs. Claus and Shirley Booth, both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe 2 shots for respect, or just give Mickey Rooney's to Shirley Booth.
Are you saying that Mickey Rooney lost some respect from you?
I mean, as with, it was a different time, but yeah, a little bit, a lot bit. Come on, Santa.
Right. You should know better. Santa's on the naughty list. Yes. My rule was for the character, not the actor.
Yes.
To be clear. But yeah, and maybe you could take a hit when Mother Nature sets her kids straight. Puts them in their places. Hey, stop being dicks. It's Christmas.
It is interesting that in a movie that is from this period for children and done with claymation, there's not a lot of like repeating themes in this. We're not seeing a lot of the same thing recycled periodically throughout the movie or called back to.
Yeah, you only really get that in the musical motifs. Because, the heat miser, snow miser, the song Sleigh Ride is heard a couple times in the movie.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then almost every song, there are 4 songs that talk about Santa. One is 5 if you include the reprise.
Yeah.
Also, I do think it's funny that you go through this whole 51-minute special, and then at the end you have the song "The Year Without a Santa Claus" that sums up everything that you just saw.
Yep.
In case you forgot.
In case you fell asleep for part of it. I remember. I did have another one.
Okay.
If you're like me, and you haven't seen it as much as Ben, take a drink every time you're like, oh, this is from this movie. Oh. Because all of the Rankin and Bass specials have sort of jammed together in my brain and are just one thing to me.
Yeah.
Until I'm watching one.
In a way, this was our first cinematic universe.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Because you have Mickey Rooney as Santa in all these other movies, and then sometimes you get Rudolph and Frosty teaming up, and you even get the origin story of Santa. Maybe Kevin Feige just copied the Rankin and Bass model.
I mean, if it ain't broke.
You know what they say, if it's not Baroque. Hey, that's another.
Let's
There's
get
another
back
Christmas.
on topic.
Aha! I gotta say though, that's another Christmas movie that we didn't talk about. The Beauty and the Beast Christmas movie, Enchanted Christmas.
I continually forget it exists. So yeah,
The only
that's
reason
on
why
me.
I remember that it exists, well, two reasons. One, Tim Curry plays an evil organ. But two,
like a kidney?
No, like the
You know, I knew what you meant.
But the one song, as long as there's Christmas, it's a good song. It's a good one. I highly suggest throwing that on the old Spotify if you forgot about that song. There you go.
I'll have to listen to it maybe for the first time.
There it is. Because we couldn't get through a month of Time to Party without some tangents.
And they're all in there now.
They're all
no fourth
there.
Episode to put them in.
Well, party people, if you're listening to this when it dropped, thank you again for spending part of your holiday with us. If you're catching up later, hope you had a good holiday. We'll tell you all about ours when we come back in the new year.
Yeah. I hope you had a secular good time.
New Year, same bullshit.
That's right. Probably.
Probably. Who knows? But while you go back to your Christmas goose, I don't know why I did that accent. I'm sorry.
Did you?
I'm terrible at accents, so I should just not try them.
It's also not a word that's heavily accented, so I think you did okay.
That's true. I just had Muppet Christmas Carol in my head of Tiny Tim talking about the goose. Anyway, you can find us on the internet. I'm at bsilverio20 on Instagram, X, and all that good stuff. Or terrible stuff, depending on how you feel.
Yeah, right. I am at The Indecisionist on most of the things, including Yowza. And I am at Indecisionist on X, but I don't use it, so whatever.
You can join the conversation.
This has been an Indecisionist production.
You can join the conversation by using the hashtag time2party. That's time, the number 2 party.
Or time, the number 2 party, all spelled out, thanks to Warwick. Special thanks this month, by the way, to April Moralba for our podcast art and to Marlon Longid of Marlon and the Shakes for our amazing theme song. They really did us some amazing work, and hope you will go out and check out all their stuff. It's linked on our website.
Also, a huge shout out to the newest member of April's family, little baby. Yeah. She had a kid. She's adorable.
Aww. The baby Moralba.
Yes. Shout out to April and Sid for having an adorable baby. But you know who else is adorable? Our listeners. All That's you right. Party people. Thank you all for another year of Time to Party. Whether you're just finding us now, whether you've been with us for all year or since the beginning of this, we appreciate you. We thank you for listening and giving us your time. Hopefully, we'll get to do this for a lot longer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a lot more time travel movies to watch.
Absolutely. So while we find the time to make that happen for you, remember to be excellent to each other.
And party on, dudes.
Dun 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 dun.